Please turn to page 9 of the Kurukulla Center Prayer Book. We'll start with the praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offering for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O Supreme, among humans you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all 3 ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms, in all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, the flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Please turn to page 23 for the Heart Sutra. Homage to the exalted 3 jewels. Thus have I heard at one time, the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajagriha on Vulture Mountain, together with a great assembly of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of the countless aspects of phenomena called profound illumination. At that very time, the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, was looking perfectly at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, perfectly looking at the emptiness of inherent existence of the 5 aggregates also. Then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said to the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, how should a child of the lineage train who wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, replied to the Venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, whichever son or daughter of the lineage wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look perfectly like this, subsequently looking perfectly and correctly at the emptiness of inherent existence of the 5 aggregates also. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form, form is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors in consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are empty without characteristics. That is, they are not produced and do not cease. They have no defilement and no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. No visible form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object of touch, no mental phenomenon. There is no I element and so forth up to no mind element, up to no element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no cessation of ignorance and so forth up to no aging and death and no cessation of aging and death. Likewise, there is no suffering, no origin, no cessation, and no path. No exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom. And because their minds have no obstructions, they have no fear. Passing utterly beyond error, they attain the final state beyond sorrow. All the Buddhas who reside in the three times, by relying upon the perfection of wisdom, become manifest and complete Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the equal to the unequaled mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, since it is not false, should be known as the truth. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Tayata, gate, gate, padagate, padasamgate, bodhisoha. Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva, a great being, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and said to the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, well said, O child of the lineage, so it is. The profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced exactly as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra, the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, and the entire assembly, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, Gandharvas, and others, were filled with and finally praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One. Please turn to page 35 for the short mandala offering. Saji perki jukshing me tog tram ri rab ling ji ni de gen pa
Sanje Cheta Soje Chonola Chanjo Bado Dane Chaso Page Chete Jibe Sono Chen Dola Beja Sanje Doba Jo Sanje Chena Soje Chonola Chanjo Bado Page Chete Jibe Sono Chen Dola Beja Sanje Doba Jo Sanje Cheta Soje Chonola Nane Jazo Je Dage Je Jibe Suna Je Ndola Be Ndoba So Dharma Jino Ke Tato Nyobe Seje Tonga Chenje Tendala Name Bayanga Badube Sanje Je Kumbo Toba Sha Te Seda Tene Teba Chenbe Suji Samose Nome Kulan Kache Jarambano Ane Jide Lama Tumbe Mema Jenda Leba Seda De Sembaru Sho
So, please generate motivation, just like the instruction given by the gurus of the both Sutra and Tantra to set up a motivation by thinking I must achieve state of full enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. For that reason, I'm going to listen to these Mahayana teachings.
Kalau de shara lo ke chenbo de se da kasi ngam de chi shi yong na hamko kalau de shara lo ke chenbo de karu de shuno ko gewa lo ndo de kanga lo kalau lo ra le ba de so so ne to ne ta ge yo yi se ne la ta chang sa wa do chewa pyo la so ba tene che yo na kalau de ya po chi me na ani chulen do lo ma de Nama Saji be choosing with the Kurukulla level, Data Kurukulla Bojigo, and Casimala in a Kuru quarters of Shivadella, Kurukulla the Shada Kitchen Mores, Kurukulla the Yabuchi Mena, Nikazuni Shitare, and Chido Chima, Cheva Karin Revolution, Jidishima Pinche, Tendel, and Royal Kukuli, Gojo Cherry, Chures, Temayina, and Chumares, or Tita, Novazo Kangu, the Yabuchi Kagaya, the Shada Kitchen Mores. 소소 집에 텐데 저는 그것도 야보래데 아니 취자체로 말해 소소소도 내 나사 매봐도 소소소소거든요 나는 뭐 이거 뭐 좀 소지적 공부 토백 텐데 다 그런 그런 시도도 그 야보래데 취자체로 말해 다 마게 심지 다 제제 텐데 아니 다들 좀 소지적 공부 토바 샤스네 세제 통제가 되고 소소도 되는 아니 그런 자체로 도를 취자체로 해서
And so, setting up a proper motivation is very important, and I think I might have explained this before during my last visit. But anyway, whether the activity that we engage in, whether it becomes a virtuous action or not, depends on the motivation. And so even if we try to do some kind of virtuous activities like making offerings or making prostrations, if we don't have a proper motivation, then that doesn't become a Dharma practice, will not become a virtuous action. So therefore, it is very important, when we are practicing Buddha Dharma, it's very important, to have a proper motivation. So whether that becomes a Dharma practice or not, it depends. If we do any kind of practice, with the thought, to benefit only this life, for this life only, then it doesn't even become a Dharma practice. So it has to be at least, for the next, or into the future life, for the sake of that, for it to become Dharma practice. And setting a proper motivation for oneself alone is not good either. So even if one is doing a proper action with the motivation, but if it's done for oneself alone, even if it's for the future life, it doesn't become a good motivation. And even if one is doing for oneself to have achieved liberation, then that's also not very good. The best is to have the motivation wanting to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings.
마시 개설라 되지 쉬어버려라 말아서 초초이나다 아니 주위에 제외이나다 아니 소제지도 마차수돼야 돼 계속 쉬어버려라 아니 소제지도 소제초는 정조받아 다음에 잡서 저서 되는 잘로래 아니 소제도 더 취도 연결을 차수 통역을 잘로래 대체가 가르를 말아서 취도 나가 사제를 취래 Kasishaba Noji Ramali de Chindamada, not so much Yorela, Lingaroso Navasanji Vichure, Navasanji Vichure and Rovala, Nichando Mena, Navasanji Vichure and Romare, Navaso Cadina, Monoton, Dakande, Carice, and Chando de Yabochi God, Kudu Sato Chando de Yabochi God, 10 Mena, and Navasanji Vichure and Romares.
And so also I mentioned about in the last 2 days teaching that whenever we do a practice of making offerings or gathering together to do puja or listening to the teachings and so forth, whatever practice we do, it has to be done on the basis of taking refuge and generating bodhicitta. So, like in the beginning of the prayers, where we say in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until I'm enlightened, to add all may become Buddha. That's part, So the first 2 lines shows about talks about the refuge, shows taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And so for it, to become a Buddhist practice, it has to be conjoined with the taking of refuge. As I mentioned before, also that there are so many different kind of religion in this world. So for it to become a Buddhist practice, it has to be conjoined. It has to be conjoined, or it has to be done on the basis of taking refuge in the 3 jewels. So whatever virtuous actions we engage in, whether we're doing some kind of virtuous action or doing our own personal practices, commitments, and so forth, it should all be done on the basis of taking refuge in the 3 jewels. Otherwise, it will not even become a Buddhist practice.
Donati de Tonda de Dudu, Magazine, Bagi Duba, Soja, Congo, Topacha, Chedo, Terra, Switches, Amusen, and the Comotella, and Commission Serve. Some judges said somebody, and Magazine Tonja, the Kirina, some judge told the sort of pay chamber to you, Tangaroso pay chamber to you, simply Tato Mayo, Tonga, Savan, what the magazine Tonja, tender, and so the China Shea to the Kamuki, or to take a Tonga number of page, you are immediately take a look at the Shara Kitchen Modest.
And so when we recite this verse in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, until enlightened I seek refuge through merit from listening to the teaching, to add all may I become Buddha, that itself is in a form of setting of motivation properly by taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and by generating the bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, wishing to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So when we include all sentient beings, then because the sentient beings are numberless, so when we say all sentient beings, that includes every sentient being. So the virtue we create on the basis of thinking about all sentient beings, it becomes an equal to the number of sentient beings. Because it's a great number, great way of accumulating merit, therefore it is good to think about all sentient beings because we create equal number of merit as there are sentient beings.
This was that and I'm going to go to Thai, and they said to the she don't know it, says Kasakami said that to the Laleta, I tell you, your mother should Superman, said the Yomare. The Jautu Chimney, Tadatuna, and Yamesela Jill assassin, the tail, Jeremy Sukuna, Mandus. Youngest had the sort of Chinese at the Yosalaya and Mother Yanes and Jadachine, says they are Marisa Suluade. There's what I need at the tail teacher, the day, Maroso, and I'm not sure what I don't do, but the Marasaji will choose a roll, come out the cage of Imbate. 10 members of Hakover, Kadina, Sudu, Chaco, Dola Soba, Zuma, Dola Soba, Tenichi, Tatu, Marasaji will choose a roll, Tenichi Guare, Shefala, Tenila, Machato, Canola, Levate, Maroso, Laleta, Nibola, Rale, Mare, Canola, Rale, Pena, Tanda Tissue. Niamala Tene, Shibu Tenichi, Sodi, Sakutanichi. Sakutanichi, Sunda, Reshibuti, Chabamba, the Masa, the Sodi, the Kuti, Golasani, Kuti, Shilovior. Shilovior. A Shilovior, Sota, and Michitina with Adi Chabamachitadi, Chabati, 소재지 또된데 그때 시에서는 자원인의 리사마를 소리들 코로 다시 놓고 쟤네 근데 쟤네 소변이 받더니 제가 말해 이제다 이제다니 받더니 제가 말해 대가 그러면 어떻게 그러면 소재지 그런 걸로 따위고 그런 걸로 봐요 그걸 다시 대마도 하면 그걸 끊어도 야보러 봐 제가 끊어도 가려면 그러다 저는 좀 봐 아니 뭐 얘가 전에 내인 거서 내가 뭐도 미스나 소재 쪽에 그런 걸로 하고 싶게네 뭐 자체는 뭐 두자 세나서 소고도 치려는 뭐를 많이 좋아해서 뭐를 많이 좋아해 이놈의 채티가서 소리 그 시에서 코로나가 겨와다나서 중요하래서 다 세계는 무슨 까는 거가 코로나가 겨와다나서 겨와 쉬치고 또 전부치 중요하래서 대중화돼서 가려도 끊어지게 맞도 지들 디바사르바 소재를 끊어서 뜻들을 하고 있는 거 나로서 파티는 디바르바 미셔마티는 자체에 미카를 수행하서 그봐 아니 지구대로 끊어도 양무도 앞에 자체에 지자는 가르쳐는 소보다 많이 우리 디바사는 그 시수하르바 이나의 코로나가 겨와 자체에 가다 토라레스 대토바다 가르는 대신에 끊어지게 도치래서 나로서 가르치는 이나 계속 앞에 제대로 끊어야 아버지 거래서 돼
So I just started, talking about direction in a bodhicitta is a way of setting up a proper motivation. Since we don't have any particular topic that we are supposed to discuss on today, and it says the topic is how to practice. But there's nothing more to practice than what I've already taught yesterday in 2 days, So it's not like that's the teaching and this is the practice. There's no separate thing like that. So Lama Tsongkhapa hasn't taught anything different, separate from that. Whatever he taught is what is to be practiced. And so that is, anyway, so like I said, setting up proper motivation, having a good motivation is very important. Whatever practice we do, all the practice of circumambulation or prostrations or offerings and recitation of the mantras and so forth that we do, and it has to be conjoined with the proper motivation. Otherwise, it will not even become a Dharma practice. So setting up a proper motivation is very important. There's a story about this person. Well, there was a statue of a Buddha made of mud, made of mud, and it was outside. And when it was raining, the rain was destroying it. And a person passed by and he saw the Buddha statue, is getting destroyed by the rain. And so he was a poor person, he didn't have anything, so he looked around and to cover it with something. He couldn't find anything, so finally he found shoes, old thrown shoes, and he took the shoes and then put it over the Buddha statue, Buddha statue to protect it from the rain. And so because he did it with a proper motivation, with a pure motivation to protect the statue, therefore, it became a virtuous action. Then later, when the rain stopped, then when somebody else who was passing by, saw the shoes on top of Buddha's statue, and then he thought, he thought, oh, who's this naughty person, who placed the shoes on top of Buddha's statue, and then he took it off, from Buddha, he took the shoes off from Buddha's statue. And so because he did it with the proper motivation also, with a good motivation, therefore it became also a virtuous action. So both of them did with a good motivation, so therefore both action became a same or equal virtuous action.
나온다서야데 노 생물팀이 제거요래 생물때 좀 야보지 제거요래 우리 쇼로를 튀자네도 내가 땜발로 소바 따뜻히 담으라요래 더친 담으라요래 우리 튀자네 디바타 노그레서야도 내일 따위는 디바타 노그레서야도 다분히 친 담으라 뭐지 수자요래 도마소소도 선제 정도는 되게 말해서 나로서 취해서는데 뭔데 생물 좀 맞아야지 그래서 가르쳐서는 나로서야 아니 가르쳐다 토사를 지금 올라가면 두배 선제적 공부를 안 하면 동네대로 세우래. 마마사를 잘하면 나 동네대로 세우래. 대서다 세우도 좀 야부로 제대로 쉬나 아니 될 취세 가르마도 다가져서도 나로서다 가르쳐더라. 전에 자체 표발라 소바 샤 뭐라 소바 달라 차바. 다음에 제나 이놈의 세미티가 그놈의 야보지면 세미티 좀 야보지 너는 매나 아니지 야보지 용도 말해. 너들은 나로서 때마다 제가 매나요. 너는 세밀라 팬바지 제국이요. 그래서 주선이제. 너는 세밀라 팬바지 제국이는 주대마도 다른 쇼로를 되는 요번 가마다 되는 제네다. 제네 자체 표발라 소바 샤 뭐라 소바 차발라 소바 시도도 배에 전부 요아래. 요아래도 대통령이 나와서 이제 주요 민부터 로토로 말해서
regarding Buddhism, the most important thing is to train one's inner mind. So in other words, so Buddhism we call Nangpa, which means the inside. So inside mind, so inside mind is more important than the outside activities or outside body. So it is that there are other religions, who think that you can purify your negativities and so forth by taking bath of your outside body or burning your outside body in the fire and so forth. So by doing that, you can purify the negative karmas and so forth. But that is not what Buddha said. Buddha said the main thing is our mind. It is the mind which brings us to be born in the upper realm, in the higher realm, and it's the mind also which throws us to be born in the lower realms. So if we don't train our inner mind, but just engage in the external activities like making offerings of hundreds of bottle lamps, or making 100,000s of prostrations and so forth, but doesn't train one's inner mind, then that doesn't become really a Dharma practice. Of course, there's a benefit. Of course, at least you leave imprint and so forth. So that's the kind of benefit of making prostrations and making bottle lamp offerings. But if you don't do it from inside with the proper motivation, then it doesn't really become that much of Dharma practice or beneficial.
모두 제발에 담보로 남는 것도 봐서 제는 사가다의 제발 정말로 넘어서 봐서 제발로 봐. 넘어서 봐서 제 대니비 주변 세제 사실 시비 받아 주 마수 말해. 그래서 나도 내가 차버렸어요. 주 마수 말해. 가르쳐서 저는 다가서야 신의 매나 마소와 메시아가서는 주노로 지세는 너무 말해. 다 교가 제가지 들려요나 지도 노말에 되는 바로바디가 나절로 고모 토발라 소바트니 전도 저와 얘는 시에 조고요로 모두 야수 소와 땅에 매는 시에 조고요 말해 대매바 소다 땅에 가로서 매바 피야돼 뒤쳐되래 사실 지식을 받을 소와 땅에 매는 쉬어래 아니 타말은 코로나데 좀버티거든요 요아로나시는 야소와 땅에 도서제 답을 총바체보고 세제 콜로 시도도 된다 피해 아니 자연의 자제 조가 예서 저한테 야피네 되네 진 수요 제세네 야신에 되는 매 지수 말에 지 담보 수요 되는 아니 내마제대 수 말에 대 말로서 개첨보요 말에 나로도 다른 소리로 전한다 시도도 되는 와래도 시부 중요한 저런 것들을 줄을 세다 로토로 말에 오늘 전에 시분 되게 치고는 뭐 제로래 시분 되게 치고는 나로서는 내가 동화도 되네 동기도 동화도 되네 수시어봐서 제가 시분 중요치래 대 제가 취자치 못해 세나다 로토로 말에 대 가로 되니지를 타서는 때도 내가 용도 말에 용도 말고 용도 봐 그러니까 시분 중요에 타서는 용도 말 야라도 여다도 더더서 노인 거래 대당 나로서는 취대 제사는 취대에 가르쳐줬다. 자체 목사한다. 저기 도서의 제자리는 야보여. 갈래도 와래 취체말 갈래도 와래 갈래 잡을 고쳐요. 되게가 제가 토산의 취체자면은 야보여. 대소다 선제 조된데 열어요. 세분 뒤니 마 시수만마도 세부 중립의 취조도 야라는 로그다. 더불어 세부다. 유다를 세부다. 되는 다 거르서는 까타원이는 놓아 말해. 뭐야 말해. 다 저러도 고아를 타와서 제거를 때도 내가 내면 고아를 타와서 제거를 해서는 내마지 때문에 다들 투시에서 나라 내마지 거는 못해 제거를 문에 세면은 놓지 못해 대제거를 대당하로서 대리 모두 같이 알아. 제가 친구들 게 시리.
So generally, talking about introducing the teaching or the Dharma, it should be introduced with the teachings on the Four Noble Truths. Because at the beginning also when Buddha first taught the Dharma, he taught the Four Noble Truths. And so just like at the beginning Buddha didn't teach for 49 days, and that's the reason he achieved enlightenment on the 15th of the 4th month, and didn't teach Dharma for 49 days. The reason why he didn't teach, there's a significance to that, is because it's not allowed to teach unless you are requested. So that's what he said. If somebody makes a request, and then only then you can teach. But of course, if there is some reason that you see that by teaching somebody can achieve state of arhatship, can become a four destroyer or arhat, then of course you can teach without having requested. But you have to know that it will really benefit in that way. Otherwise, you should not be taught or should not teach until you are requested to teach the Dharma. So when Buddha, after he achieved enlightenment, for 49 days he didn't teach, and then at the end of the 49 days, when he was requested by the gods, the king of God, Indra and Brahma, who came with the offerings of 1,000 spoked wheel, Dharma chakra wheel, and Brahman with a conch shell, like circling in a clockwise circling conch shell. And then the first five disciples who made the request to the Buddha to teach, then only then he taught the Dharma. So when he taught, he started to teach with the Four Noble Truths. So it is said that it is no use almost no use to teach about the small scope. We should go with the medium scope. So Buddha didn't start with saying that you'll be born in the lower realm, you'll be born in the hell realm or Holy or animals and so forth. He didn't tell you that. He taught how to be free from cycle existence right away. So because even if you are free from the sufferings of the lower realms like the hell realm, hungry ghost or animal, you'll still be born in cycle existence. So you will not achieve everlasting happiness. So everlasting happiness only will be achieved only if you free yourself completely from the cycle existence. And so therefore, Buddha started with the teachings on the medium scope. And so we should also do the Dharma related with the medium scope at least. And of course, if we can do, we should do with the great scopes teaching. The practice of the great scope teaching. Of course, there's a difficulties. There isn't anything that's not easy. But if we do it, we can do it. So therefore, try to do the best we can do.
That no matter what so you choose the yada to Tabshichi. So the yada to the Tardan of Sanji, your mother Tambone. What the Castle Yara to me. Take go as Sota, and then I was a Choro shows on they are Tangate, Paran, Parasanga, the body, so I said. What they wanted to Chevina, Tangate, Sonshi, and then Paro Sonshi, Paro Chamber Sonshi, and then Paro Chamber Sonshi is about it. Tikari is about it, and then Solam logo with it, and then Jolan and so soon, and then Tola was so long I it. Long nothing page in which we are there, Parana, the person of the body, so the content Zuma Sali, you have really page and with it. Tavachi, no use of you but the Teluar. Tavachi, Soji Salon, Tavachi, no use of you but the Teluar. Sonola Soshi, Jolola Soshi, Tonola Soshi, Bulola Soshi, Milola Soshi, Paro Chimbo, Lanaba Zulu, Soji, Kumbola Soshi, is a cutting water. Then no one knows you and also Chisha Tivila, and so did the Yata, Yajino, Chegru, choosing it. Several people check the Matu, several Mafia, which you will American, Tamisha, several Yaji town in the town, Tamaba Soji, Guru, seven, the one who's Janela, and if it is done, and Royal Marissa.
So of course, that's not the topic that we're going to talk about, the Four Noble Truths, right? So that's not the topic that we're going to talk about. We'll be talking, other things about, how to improve our mind and so forth. So we have to improve our mind gradually, and then eventually we can become a Buddha. fully enlightened person, right? And so that is the reason. There's no way you can become Buddha just like that without going through, the stages of the practice. You can't become Buddha immediately like that. And so that's the reason why, there's the teaching in the Heart Sutra where it talks about the mantra, the Gade Gade Paragade Parasamgade Bodhi Soha, so which means, gone, gone beyond, gone greatly beyond, something like that, right? So gone beyond. Gone 2 shows the first, the two parts, the path of accumulation, then the path of preparation, and then the gone beyond is the gone beyond the ordinary path, so the path of seeing, and then it says gone beyond greatly is like the path of meditation, and gone completely beyond is the path of normal learning. So this also is very important, because that shows gradually how we move up, on the stages of the path, from the path of accumulation all the way to the path of normal learning. And so again, like I said earlier, most important thing is to benefit our mind. So to do something that benefits our mind. So by improving it gradually, more and more, then we can become a Buddha. If we don't improve it at all, just by leaving it there, it will never become fully enlightened.
대소가 소소 선제야 야르 또는 선제지 살로 로그로 말을 세모 나로 키네는 선제지 살로 로야와 말에 선제 야르 또는 선제지 살로 로그로 나는 우리말로 다른 배로 다른 너무 속에 수고하래 단 시절에 연하면 먼저 배는 사바세니 소리 사바세니 링고는 시우 사바세니 게 두자 시우하래 다 말로서 다시는 노래를 사바디고 하루서 깨자를 딴 돈을 따주는 딴 거를 사주어. 근데 대소다 사바디는 무슨 나이 도시로 하고 살아봐 도시로. 아니 도시로는 때문에 그 사진만 쓰고 나 까는 거다 돼. 도시로. 근데 대시로는 다 사바 아마티로 프로젝트를 하는. 당연히 대화체 나서는 거가 사는 게 지금 도시로는 또 뭔가 제는 돼 있어. 대화체 나서는 거가 사는 거 도시로는 또 뭔가 제는 돼 있어. 라바데. 나도 사바 프로젝트에서는 왜 당연히 아마니 가만둬나 깨도 그게 자료는 많이 차됐어. 도시에도 깨도 일단 도시로 와라. 그러나 당연히 가만둬나 깨도 그게 자료는 아니 저 여보 사원이네 이와야 말했어. 대세서 말해서 생각이 다른 가만둬나 여보 사원이네 이와야 말해서 어때 그 까는 누가 그때도 빼야 보니 가로 도시에도 가로를 드시는 코리를 말해 깨자는 깨는 코로나는 도시로 와라. 이 가만둬나 깨고 가라. 어떻게 사바 부르티는 당연히 가만둬나 깨도 그거 와라. 깨도 그 자리에 다 도시로 됐어. 대소다 대를 가르쳐 말을 대달을 가르쳐 말을 말아서 생각에 당하고 소주 상황이네 맞더니 소주주 공부터 그거는 깔레자 루비 사사 샤고도 가르쳐나 맞잖아 너야 말해서 어떻게 이거 때문에 빼다 가르쳐 올려서 처음부터 야보야 넘어서 가게로 공부야 보시기나
그렇지 민하고 봐
사바세네 사바세네 시우세네 소와세 누가 아마 돈이 왜 사바 네네네 깨장에서 원래 깨 두자자래 어떻게 다 땅으로 거래
So again, it is important to improve our mind, make it better and better, and then eventually we can become fully enlightened, free of all the faults and so forth. Right? So without that, there's no way we can become a Buddha suddenly or immediately like that. So it's important to change our mind to improve it better and better. As long as if we keep that ordinary, the deluded mind, then no matter where we are, we always will be suffering. We go through all the suffering. So Rinpoche was explaining about this example of this bird in Tibet. They call this bird called sakpa. I don't know what they call it in English. I have no idea about this bird, but it has a very, very frightening voice and frightening sound. It makes very frightening sound, and that like when people are riding on a horse, if it comes, they come across near this bird, and this bird makes the noise, then it makes so strong, so frightening noise that the horse will fall, and they will drop the rider. So anyway, so then because of that, the people, whenever they see this bird, they throw a stone at it, to chase it away before they come too close to get frightened by it. And so every time, so one day, then the mother Sakpa and the bird, the Sakpa, mother Sakpa and the child Sakpa, they were talking and said, oh, people are throwing stone at us all the time, so we must, migrate or go somewhere else, or maybe go to like a pure land, where there'll be no sufferings at all. And then the child Sakpa said, oh yeah, that's true, but wherever we go, we'll be carrying our voice with us. So no matter where we go, people will be throwing stone at us because they're throwing stone at us because of our voice, the sound that they produce is because of that. So just like that, if we keep our mind just like that, if we don't change it, as long as we have that kind of ordinary deluded mind, then no matter where we go, we'll still be always suffering. So this example, His Holiness tutors used to teach, with this example, and I find it very, applicable. So you should also, think about this and think about changing the mind.
Mm-hmm. Sena, that should you check the Karu check or the Sena, and then also Lama Chavana Suma, Nujere, do not come out on Malaysia, Della, no, choosing them on the Dado Jala Cheva, you, Mrs. Jedegawa, Cheva, Chengela Saturday, do not come out, when it's all Marathon Level or Mare. Deva the Kazi, Shuna, you want to turn over high Deva, Louis Deva, Deva Kazi, Shuna, Tanatin will achieve so they water. Chushi Amare. There's one that I'm not also done that do not media about them. Deva Deva, the Maroso, Magis, Chiba Chicho, Tati Allocated Mugache. Chiba Chicho. Do not have a media, but do not media by Ita, and do not the Kavani, you will do it. She check out. So Mother the Kavani, they are the Kavani, tell us you travel in a magic, but not the Tesha, she was not the opposition, do not never show us any Manaja de dinner, or Kaka pay to me or mother. Then also watching what they check out the thoughts or you never check it. You are to check at the time, also watching what they check the Takoros will pay, see about you take with yours. Tena bada maru kunju kuche, tene tene mone ichi so much in the day that they yapo today, ichi chena yapo today, they told you maru solo, ane dula mebato, dewa toche the dema the yung toku mudurasa. Tada bada tawani ne yung masuma. To tozu maru solo tazi cheya so tere. Jena mo cheva na chebo do jugo ni no ne chebo de so isa tamo cheba chegar. Tamo cheba chene Bella Betare, Tanu Jugo, Sodo Chibo, Gomaja, and Dulu or Mother. I let Cheva China Macheva, Goya Kari Mai, Hamakova, Trinity, Gomaja, Nabude. Navuchi go there, the Mother Kakayo Mother. Or Tesota, and the Cheva Chega, Cheva Kari Chega is a Naruso, Duna, Delu Amarva, Duna, Delu, Duna, the Kavani, Duna, the Jilla we are there.
And so, the practice, we should do, so just like it is said in Guru Puja, we do not wish to have even a slightest of suffering, and we are never content with the happiness we have. We are all same in wanting happiness and not wanting not wanting any sufferings. Therefore, please bless us to have bless all sentient beings to have happiness. And so we don't wish any kind of suffering, even no matter how small it is. We don't want to have it, and the happiness we have, we're never content with it. We have, even if we have human happiness or even the God happiness of the gods, we'll still not be content with that. We always want to have more and more happiness. And so that happiness that we want cannot be achieved just like that, So we have to investigate how we can achieve that happiness and how we can eliminate that suffering that we don't want, right? And so just by believing in a Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and just taking refuge, just by believing in them, we will not, be free from that. Even His Holiness Omniscient said that there's no way we can be free just by doing that. We have to analyze on that. Analyze analyze the cause of the happiness that we want. We have to analyze. So we have to do the analytical meditation. Then once we have analyzed it, have come to the conclusion, then we do stabilizing meditation on that. And so without analyzing, if we just try to do a stabilizing meditation, then we're just meditating meditating on darkness, and there's nothing to meditate on, right? So you haven't analyzed anything, so there's nothing to meditate on. You're just meditating on darkness. Then it will completely darkness, nothing there. And so, so first we have to analyze the cause. So what we have to analyze on, because we don't want to have suffering, so we have to analyze on the cause of the sufferings, where the suffering is coming from. So analyze on the cause first. So this is explained with the example and the meaning in Buddha Maitreya's continuum of sublime, sublime continuum or Uttara Tantra. So in there he said the sickness, the sickness is to be known, and the cause of the sickness is to be abandoned, and so forth. So just like that. So we have to first understand the disease, right? So what kind of disease is it that we are suffering from? If we don't understand the disease, and then we can't see where it's coming from and how to prevent it and so forth. We can't do that, right? So we have to first find out the disease. What is the disease that we're suffering from? Is it jaundice, bile, or is it related with the cold, heat, and so forth, right? So whatever it is, first we have to find out that and then see where it's coming from, and then how we can how we can prevent that disease from happening. And so so if it's like jaundice, then you have to prevent certain things like greasy food and so forth, right? So you have to know that, and then once you do that, then you see where this is coming from, and then when you abandon that, then you will not get the disease. So just like that, when we experience the suffering, so first we have to understand the suffering, and then see where the suffering is coming from. So therefore we have to find out the cause of the suffering and abandon that. Without abandoning the cause of the suffering, there's no way we can be free from suffering. Even if we say, oh, may I be free from suffering, you just sit there and just say, may I be free from suffering, we'll never be free from suffering unless we abandon the cause of the suffering.
Danzala temi shunga de hakko gbiore te tanga tha bina te mande na bina te meba chewala chawa te meba machena maro so tanda de shi dinga chena shi de lewe mande chawa ne te ko chega ma da yaga chene kakai phelo marwa yaga chene kakai phelo mare tada yaga chene te mabeba ma se shi jere lo yore 제가 신기도 내가 먼저는 이 자원이 뛰고 제거요. 또 대모지 나로서 두마다 맞잖아. 두마지 자와 거로 매바 제거요. 자와 거로 매바 제발라 자와데 가바를 너무 요시거요. 가르에서는 자와 가르에 자와 나중에 뭐 나세는 롱와지 나로서 가면은 소도소도도 롱와지 저거요. 나세는 수치를 마티게 롱와지 저거요. 어떻게 되면 저거요. 뛰어래. 저도 제가 뛰어래 차셔라 뛰어래 수치를 마티게 주지 자와지네 매야래. 수치를 마티게 주지 매야래. 근데나 다 아빠처럼 나로서는 나서야돼. 저도 분별을 뛰어라 봐. 분별을 때문에 따바래 분별을 뛰어라 봐. 나로서 너를 수치를 마티게 롱와지 저거요. 때문에 나지세요. 때문에 그거요.
And so we have to find out the root of that suffering. So the root of the suffering is the self-grasping ignorance. So just like the root of the, so if you don't like the tree and you want to get rid of it, you have to cut it from the root. If you just cut the branches, it will not, you will not be able to get rid of the tree. Maybe cutting, trimming or cutting the branches even may help it to grow bigger. And so, therefore, we have to cut it from the root to get rid of it. And so, the root of this suffering here is the self-grasping ignorance. And so, grasping at the self or the I, saying the I, that grasping at that I, and grasping it as independent I, independent, existing from its one side on its own. So that kind of I. So. And actually, the I, it depends on the cause, on the cause and condition, and on the parts and so forth, right? Parts and so forth. But when we see the I, we see it as an independent I, existing on its own by itself. So everything is dependent arising. There's nothing that exists from its one side. So every phenomena, everything that exists by depending on something. And so just like that, the I also is depending on something. So the I is depending on the aggregate. So if there's no aggregate, we cannot call it I. The I is a mere name imputed on the aggregate. So the I comes by depending on the aggregate. And so there's no an independent I.
वो दास दुनिया के मेवा चे वाला थी चावा दांसे के मेवा चे गुयारे से दांसे के मेवा माचे ना अरे दुनिया मेवा चावा नहीं चे तो मारे से दांसे मेवा चे वाला अरे दामे तो भी शिरा थे ना तो नहीं तो भी शिरा थे माँ तो सच्ची हो हमारे दांसे चावा ने मेवा चे तो नहीं थे अरे दामे तो भी शिरा थे माँ तो यो हमारे थे इतना मारो तो नौजी इना इतना खर्च करो था तो माँ जी न्योले से आते शम्सी के शोंबे के न्योले से आते अने नीचे के न्योले से आते था दामना थे निशाया यारे ये था हमारे आलू तंबे तो माँ जी न्योले से ना खुदा रोजी जी खुदा खुदा था घर से करो था रोजी जी ट्रबा चिंज़ाते याते था रोजी जी ट्रबा तवाने मेबा रोजी जी माटे बारे संदूस ने था रिबा मम्मी बने सोनो तो गए ते काले तो यारे थे था काले खाने दूसरे पाशा जमीन नारो सोते लेला रोडो ये तीसरे सवानी ने हमारे बार काले खाजे खाना काले जागोर मातो लेला रोडो ये तीसरे हमारे तो थे ना रोजी जी ट्रबा से ना से आते सच्ची ले माथी पासी मारो संजलो यारे अरे सच्ची ले माथी पर रे तो सोनो तो गए सच्ची ले माथी पर मारे शेला तेने चुंगा रबा फिमेला तेने चुंगा रबा वो तने चले सोनो तो जागे ना अरे ना रोजी से मैं थाचे रे लो सो लो थे ले युरे सो ते सोनो मातो का अरे सावा दांजे ते मेवा शेता सवानी नहीं हमारे
And so the root of the suffering is the self-grasping ignorance, and grasping of the self as it exists from its own side. So the only way to eliminate that self-grasping ignorance is by meditating on the selflessness or emptiness. And then also, of course, there's other ways of meditating on loving kindness, compassion, on emptiness. So to explain how to meditate or practice the emptiness. So emptiness is thinking that things do not exist from their one side or inherently. Things do not exist inherently. Everything has to depend on something. Depend on others, right? Depend on other things. So for it to exist, there isn't anything that exists from its own side. And to think about that, of course, there's difficulties as we are not used to it. But just because it's difficulties, we can't live it like that. No matter how difficult it is, we have to practice. And if we practice, then it becomes easier and easier. Anyway, so the mainly it is the self-grasping ignorance, or grasping at the self as existing inherently from its own side, without depending on something else, without depending on other. That's the root of the cycle existence, the root of the suffering. So everything is existing, right? Everything exists by depending on something or depending on other. We have to think that. We have to try to train our mind to think that everything exists by depending on others. So just like that, this mind and the I also depend on other things. It depends on the aggregate, and so only by thinking like that, then we can overcome the grasping the self as existing from its own side.
te yinji minji gogo da tomba nye do tani shangcho je semre o tani tsewa nije chembe ge nyole te yinji minji gogo ware ta zo ze naro suta ya toji chembe ge nye chala yo ka no so ari le toni ge tungche nije tungche shobe tungche se ne me ta sha nus e abo ne bas te ta choro so teni je ne le me ta thoba chi che sa le ne ta ta de ke chema cheje yungu yana na mena da te nyole te che ne le me de ta le ne no she chena yara no ge ba yinji minji su su da 배가 tosole choro soga tani chiri chetone yaboyo arese me arilo toni go tunchesene kabali yo na machi toni go tunchesene news te kare de koro so tomani go nyole chego arese tomani go nyole chege desato so tomani go toni go tunchesene arese ane nije chemo nije go gondo gomne de to so nije go tunchesene news ane chonjo go sele tunchesene atani so yo na yaboyo gas 그 말에서 물에 돈이 다 놓치고 물에 나는 아니 내주 소세 여다에 따와서 그 가서 시타도 봐 다티 녀래 되고 와래 내주 소세 여다에 따와서 니 녀래 되고 와래 다 때에 가게 가고도 돼 다음에 말에서 다 놓치고 못해 물에 돈이 파체도 돼 타를 만도 타면 세워 되잖아 내가 tellela 동사를 써는 렐라고 제타 잡는데 그 자와 단서를 twe자서 다 단서를 님고치 보고 와라 봐 아니 단서 거는 말해서 무엇이 마치체네 되려래 그러봐 그 말해서 가면 tel로 구마 때에 지내는 말해서 비나도 내가 말에 모두 비나도 내 구마도 선도 와래데 비나도 자와텔로 기초 자원이네 자 들어와 말해 비나도 자와텔 다가도 샤 아니 다 비나도 내 다시 제대로 와래 샤 차와도 어디 거라 거와도 제와 표하라 소바 어떻게 제대로 하러 봐 누가 이제 자와도 걸었다 샤니 어떠서 때에 패토로 와마도 자와도 기초 자원이네 맞아는 아니 누가 내가 쇼선아 로시 올래 이거로 봐 그봐 시비가 자와도는 야가 로시 올래 이거로 봐 그봐 나도 시비 돈 되는 거는 자와네 자와도 가르쳐 가르다 자와텔로 내가 제대 다시 제대로 와라 봐. 대만에서 다 빼도 하고 그러 봐. 시비때 내는 뭐는 자와네 찍고 맞잖아. 야가 제대 가까이 패고 못 봐. 대마지는 말어서 다다 봐서 뭐는 돈을 제대로 와래. 정말 더자 제는 말어서 제대로 와래. 제대로 와래. 얘는 자와 단서들은 그저 자와님이 다 토요 말해. 자와 단서들 다가로서 뒤에 되는 마 취시체 너도 와라 봐. 대부분 되는 만 알아서 답시나 전에 노래 와르때 이게만 저전 르모체 가는 순간 미드니 지어서 봐 아니 잘라는 때 갈래 가면 와르세는 가는 거서 봐 다라마 코르시에 되면 뭐 되면 스시니 편도서서 내려서 내산 스시니 야 때문에 나도 싸워도나 자는 파리치니 파면서 싸워도 다시 와 말해 좀 자주만서 스시노를 잡지 다 개발해라 중대서도 나네 그봐 때문에 테마서 코로나 라소사 사진 뭐처 그 말로서 다 무슨 일 머리쪽 더 가을에 가버려 하와서 다 머리시에 또 가버려 다 다른 말로서 레치 또 와래세네 라디라 타나나 그러 자나 로마니오 로마 자나 로마니 뭐 코데 와래세네 저기 뭐지 가르마노가 별이가 너 바보지 와줘도 뭐 동안 캐는 거 가서 뉴스되네 let us share that. What tell me see the thing goes on, madam. I don't go there was a change, go to the son, was a son in your mother. And go there, man, I can't go there was a liar, mother. She, Sawa tell the Gichu Sawan in a Majan, do not never so Sawan in your mother, so tell them also, Injimini Haku.
So the practice on the emptiness and loving kindness, compassion. So he heard from His Holiness that the cities in America called the city of emptiness, city of compassion, and city of love. I don't know if you have heard of that city. So he says, and that's really good, because then that emphasizes people, to meditate or practice on those topics. So I said, what is that city? And they says people who live in that city of emptiness, mainly practices on emptiness, and people who live in city of loving kindness, they meditate on loving kindness and compassion and so forth. So like that also, if we Tibetans can also do that, that would be really nice, to just to remind us or emphasize us, to do those practices, So anyway, the main cause, of the suffering, is like I said, is the self-grasping ignorance, and in order to overcome that, we have to meditate on the emptiness or selflessness. That's the only way we can, because it's in a way we can free ourselves from suffering, because as long as we have the root of the suffering, there's no way we can be free from the suffering. So if we want to be free from suffering, we have to get rid of the root or the cause of the suffering. So this is a sort of introduction to Buddhism, but we're going to really deep topic of emptiness. But then again, if we don't talk about that, then there's no way we can find the antidote for the sufferings that we want to get rid of, right? So if we don't do the meditate on loving, on the selflessness or emptiness, then there's no way we can get rid of sufferings. Even if we make prostrations, make offerings, and do circumambulations of the holy objects, but if we don't meditate on the self-grasping, the selflessness or emptiness, then there's no way we can do that. So we do all these other practices, while keeping the root in our mind, right? And so therefore we can't be really free from all these sufferings. Even though, of course, those practices help, but there's no way we can free ourselves completely from the sufferings. That is because we still have that root of the cyclism, the root of the suffering in our mind. And so there's a story that His Holiness tutors told about this person who was told that you have to be careful. You'll be born in the lower realm, in the hell realm. If you are born there, then it will be so difficult. You have to suffer so much and so forth. And then he said, "Oh, this Lama is just talking about it. I'm sure there is a way to escape from there." So. Escape, just skip, the hell realm and be free from there, without going through the practice, So there's no way you can escape, the hell realm like that. And also there's this Lama who was talking about, the rarity, of the prophet human rebirth. And then there's the person said, "Oh, it looks like the Lama hasn't gone to China. Otherwise he will see a lot of human beings there." So you can't compare the number of the human beings with the animals. Like if you just lift a stone slab, stone slab, just small piece of stone, I don't know how many ants or insects you will see there. That's like the number of the countless numbers of the ants or insects there, right? So you can't really compare with that. But anyway, so the story is that there's no way you can escape. You can skip, the hell realm if you have already created the cause to be born there. So if we have that cause, of the sufferings, then there's no way we can be free from that suffering. So in order to be free from the suffering, we have to get rid of the root of the suffering, the self-grasping ignorance.
야보와래 또도보와래 소지 조던데 땡게 잡은 돌을 수말에 다다 제제 나게 메시나 시바테네 콜라 류자르 차선 너무 소소 라시지 때문에 동아 이마데 소노 또 쇼세래 대땅 되보와래 소소 랑지 제트베 동아 이마들 소노동 대 랑지 제트베 동아 이마데 해시네다 시가로 이나요 나는 랑지 제트베 동아마다 랑지 제트바지 만두 소소로 요시고 대이니는 나라도 깔로 와르데 대 마셔바들 못자와 나도 매바 자와니니 제야요 말해 요 말을 와대 자와 나도 매바 자와니니 제야요 말해 제가가 되는 자가가 빼도 소소로 랑지 제트베 동아 되지는 담나 못 깨져요 대내가 사도 제대로 사도 네 가로 대제세메 대제사도 단담나 먹었을 깨져요 다 때문에 나로서 소소를 들으러 봐와서나 가르쳐 자세 차와 라이거더니 가르쳐 런시치 매바텔 거지는 뭐니마 공매 바텔 그런 마파 매가 따바서를 마도 자완이네 요 말해서 뭐데 소소를 시키는 말해서 네들을 시키는 말해서 대체는 소소를 봐 저기쯤인데 나를 말해서 저기서 마도인데 말해서 자완이네 요 말해서 pero mi nare di mi io sta te manire no gore ndiri amare o te sono gasi shavali sido no de Dharma is an inimita chidene chama chidene rogu mo mato inime gode me chene tase so de Dharma is at nuba mutta te Dharma res na ute Dharma res ta so de kana de tane cheche gore so choro so ne la pata ba so mato kore ni ne yona nere se achi gore 그러봐 파타바도 마도 야마르마도 타바도 마이게도 저기쯤에 내려서 해야지 그랬더니 소소소 저기쯤에 나세면에 가반류 뭐 다들 시로를 파서는 또 그거 아마도 소소소를 뭔가시네 나세면에 가반류 제제셔도 근데 세야서 마도 자원이네 야마래 저기쯤에 내려서 만드셔도 다 야마를 해주시면 야래 칼라사를 야래 레카 제를 야래 그러봐 어떻게 다 되네 그네들의 제제를 제부 동화사람들 자가들도 제제를 다 나서는데 빠빠서지만 또 뭔지 이거는 다제에서 칼라 사람들 레간으로 와봐 다요는 가만히 있으면 저기 사람들 있어 대다 다테 로제제 매비 조세데 대수로 와래서
And so when we're meditating on emptiness, it is easier first to start with oneself. So if one can think of the emptiness of oneself or the self, then it's easier. In the King of Concentration Sutra, it said that if you meditate on the self, the emptiness of the self first, it is easier, and then you can apply that same example on all other phenomena. So just like one is the self is emptiness, and therefore therefore you can apply the same reason to all other phenomena and think of all others as being empty of inherent existence. So the root of the suffering and the psychologicity is the self-grasping ignorance, and the self-grasping ignorance, when you apply that to oneself, thinking of oneself as existing independently from its one side by itself. So if we have to we have to check, whether it is really true or not. There are so many different methods, that's explained, to meditate on the emptiness of this self. And so like the dependent rising, the reasoning of the dependent rising, the emptiness, of the empty of being, one or many, and the different, and so forth. And so there are so many other methods or reasons, that is explained, to analyze on the emptiness of the self. But one way is to just think about one's body and think which one is the self. So you can analyze on whole body from the tip of the toe and all the way up to the top of the head, and see which part of our body is the I, is the self. So if so you can see then this is the hair self. No, if is the eyes, the two eyes, the eyes are self. No, and then you can go like that. Point at every part of the body. You will not find self in any part of it. If there's a self exists from its one side, then you should be able to find it, and point and say, oh, this is the self. But if you look for that, you will not be able to find the self anywhere. and other than completely imputed by mind. Other than that, then there's no self. So you can't find the self. Then what do you say? There's no self? Again, you can't say there's no self. There is the self, right? The self or the I. There is the I, because I'm eating, I'm walking, I'm doing other things. So there is I, but there's no I that we can point and say it is I. And so therefore, the I does not exist, inherently or from its own side.
None to know it. Never so to be loaded, the shadow catch him with a last year, they didn't take the code of Yamala, Joseph to Maruto Shadow Hako to Yamare. That Lord in his that are in the China, that in the Ramach in the Torres Sech and the Techarina, the Yabola, then it and the Tenichi, Tumani Senator Tenichi race. Not the telecast said that Dr. Jimu Kazu, Darusala Susuma. I mean, Chuta Chimbo, Nisi. 시장 것에 들어서 진짜 전부 시대 고도로서 베제에서 진짜 전부에서 고가와서 맞아 내가 말한다서 가능해서 맞대래 내 말도 고도로 시대서 도움이
So the most important thing is to study and to know about these things. So we won't be able to think in that way, analyze in that way if we don't know how to do that, right? So knowing how to do that is important. So for that we have to study. So studying is very important. Like here, Geshe Lobsang teaches or these subjects here at the center, starting with mind awareness and knowledge about that, and then also if we study about those, and then the science and reasonings and so forth. So if we can study that, then that will also help us to understand, and then we can analyze better and so forth. And so. So that's all I want to talk about the emptiness, as it is quite profound. There's no way to explain it in an easy way. So His Holiness also used to say that the people, when they want to receive teachings on a profound topic, then they always want to have it in an easy way. But there's no way, no easy. If it is a profound, then it has to be difficult.
Mama Sanjay Chu get the share of something to silly in a door. Chi Yonanda, Chu Menanda, the issue in the Kachi in the Karina, something similar, Kami Kachita. Something said, Shadow Ketchamore, Chamba to Tevas in it. Tin only to go over it. You will go the Chamba in the candidation, Tevas in the candidation, Tehako. 하고그러고 정말도 세워서데 그래 정세에서 정말 생각에 가르쳐주시는 아니 시도는 로드 세워나 내가 도저도 내가 놈을 넣어서 정말 생각에 내가 또 내대지 정말 누가도 자대지 세워 어떻게 카발로 소로래 다 가르치지 녀석이나 파지지 녀석이나 놓토고요 못하고요. 되게 알아 내가 내가 통제도 내가 아니면 너도 쉬어나 다들 소소소소 내가 통제도 내 매바다 하고 그거요. 소소 내가 통제도 내 매바다 하고가 제내는 아니 막에 세제 통제라고 되는 지금 가보 그거요. 내가 통제도 내가 찜마루세네 대고 그거요. 다 원래 제나다 막에 너무 소소소소는 Around the temple, the day Moloto, Mamena Jenny Temple, Kala Chesser, Jasichavali. To most of those, they were touching to Madema, do not touch to Dema, or to Soto, Apochi, Hakonela, and this was a Pelejane. That time I will Magassi, Tunji, Delayotane, they were touching to Dena Chimari, Dema Chichi, Dema Dagi, Chavo, and the Tasso to Keletoja, the Masuna Chego, Rote, you know the Kumbache.
And then after that, is meditating on loving kindness and compassion. So loving kindness and compassion is not only to be practiced by the Buddhists. It's even if you're a Buddhist or not, you can practice that. You need it, and even if you have any religion or not, you need it. And even those who accept other religions like Christianities and the Muslims and all other religions all practice loving kindness and compassion. So first we have to know what is loving kindness and compassion, right? So loving kindness in general is the mind that wishes to be happy, and compassion is the mind that wishes to be free from suffering. So the mind that wishes to possess happiness and the mind that wishes to be free from suffering. So these two are like the alternating mind. So if you have one, the other one always, almost is there. So it's there automatically. So when you want to have happiness, of course you don't want to have suffering. When you don't want to have suffering, that means you want to have happiness. So that's like almost, the both are there. And so the mind that thinks about wanting to have happiness, and so when you meditate on that mind, so first you apply that, to oneself. So first you have to understand yourself that you don't have the happiness. In order to want to have the happiness, you have to know that you don't have that happiness, right? You don't possess that happiness. So when you don't have that happiness, then you want to have it. If you already have it, you don't need it, right? So you have to know that you don't have that happiness, and therefore you want to have it. So that is the loving kindness. And then the same with the suffering. So you want to be free from those sufferings. So just like Shantideva said in his Guide to the Buddhist Way of Life, if you don't think about that within yourself, even in the dream, there's no way you can think about others in that way while you're awake. So first you apply that to oneself, to oneself. So have a wish for oneself to be happy, and have a wish for oneself to be free from the suffering, And then just like one doesn't want to have suffering, and one wants to have happiness, like that, other sentient beings are same in wanting to have that. And so therefore, then you pray for them to have happiness. May they have happiness. How wonderful it will be if they have happiness, and I myself will, take the responsibility to bring happiness to them, and so forth. So you have to meditate in this way.
Cheme Tumi May said, Shomba Seme Sena, Shomba Seme Goma Tiva, and Sono Jachimbo told the Cheme Tumi, Hatsuma Chimbo Shiva, Sono Donoma Isa, Hatsuma Chimbo Shiva, Sono the Halu, the Sono Potter Number Jibada Mado, Tarada, not too much in the Shevala, Sono Guru, Milishavala, Sono Chimochi Guru, Tilo Kuman, Halichavala, Sono Chimo, Tilo Hatsuma Chimbo Shavala, Sono Potter Number Jibada, Table Sono Yoma Yisu, Selu, the Table Churus, or the Tenichi Knowledge and in the page of Masujima Jabatogre, Chila Maima Rujila, Shishuna, and Shina, the high level at the Kasim Mashina, Tinola Shiba, Solo Chema, but it's not over this.
So if you are able to think this way, thinking how wonderful it will be if they are free and if they possess happiness, and may they possess happiness, I will take the responsibility upon myself to make them have happiness and so forth. So if you have that thought, that's called loving kindness, right? So that thought is very powerful, very meritorious. So even if you don't have the genuine loving kindness, but even if you just have that thought, that's very good. That even just having that thought accumulates the equal amount of merit to be born as a god Brahma. So we, how much merit we need to be born as a god Brahma, is immeasurable. So how much is immeasurable. So we need merit for every good thing. So even to be born as human beings, we need a merit. Even to be born as an ordinary god, we need a merit. And then how much merit we need to be born as a great Brahma god is inconceivable, immeasurable. And so if we meditate on loving kindness, even if it's not a genuine one, even just having a thought, thinking how wonderful it would be if they possess happiness, may they possess happiness, I myself will take responsibility to make them possess happiness. Even if you have that thought, that equals the same merit as to be born as a great Brahma god.
And it's also to say two children, a little about you, so to you, Mother Social Kale Yungaris. 오늘 좀 전주 선발에 자리를 가봐 동네에서도 소사는 로비와르로 대만으로 아주 전주 세우체야 말이라 갈레테즈 용도로 대대지 투투지를 내 마소로 달래 마소선에 저자야 싸워지는 거 말이야 베랑으로 찾아오는 로 뒤까지 잡아채봐요 로 뒤를 잡아채 로 주디로 대사체모는 회사를 세다치다서로 우리 주체모 로주체는 다다바다 다다로 뒤치되비래 다다라는 주체 말에 나로솔라이 칼린데 저로솔도 칼레요 누구래 제가 칼레요 나 칼레 자사데 만나와래 오늘 저는 전대 친구지 되게 되게 군바지네 저로서 대세 투투체를 대용으로 써서 사만년에 손을 마토마토 아니 내 마음속에 되게 통치하는 그래 다 현지 선거에서 만나서는 대시와래 때는 날 찾아오는 다 로도 좀 받아 요즘에 로주체는 로아데 다나이는 하고 있는데 아니 televizyon oturduğuna çorusuyla kaleme var yungurası ne çorosu kaleme bir şey de başı var şimdi sonra ali kava tomesi var ay mama soruyor tabii mama var abi ne şey yunga mama jajanın mama var mama de ne söyle teşnada ne çorosu teşa diyelim maalesef len haber çıkıyor maalesef ali çocuğu samalı sonra oturduğuna kava tomesi sonra lo maruda hal ne var tabii ki kale dalı var etini Otenichelo bana zeyn ngaro to kale te lochi ni masatelo kale jara haleno longa chitu chiretene tenichi madega mare tenichelo dowa lo sono to tawani no mares teni do mashu sone jashi jaya la soba tenichi ni mares
and so this kind of things cannot happen in a very short time. And so you should not expect to have a result of your practice right away and in a very short time. So when we're talking about these results of achieving highest rebirth and liberation and enlightenment, so enlightenment, of course, takes very, very long time for bodhisattva. Even for the bodhisattvas, they have to meditate or practice for 3 countless great eons in order to achieve state of full enlightenment. And so that's how long it takes. When we're talking about eons, it's not like a day or month or a year. It's eons. It's an infinite amount of years or months, like that. And so even in my case, I find very difficult, to understand. I still find very difficult to understand so many of these teachings. I became monk at the age of 7, and then at the age of 17, I went to a great monastery, Sarah, and studied all these great scriptures. And I'm 77 now. And I've been studying, for 70 years, but I still, find it very difficult. There's so many subjects that I still don't know, and I find very difficult. And but even if it's difficult, it is worthwhile, to go through the difficulties, to study and to continue to study until we achieve the result, right? And so I'm just telling you this so that you don't, back up, back out. Thinking that I'm not finding anything now, so I might not be able to find it. It's not like that. We have to keep on practicing for a long time. Like I said, the bodhisattvas, they practice for eons and eons, right? And so we're not talking. Practice that we do is very short term, maybe for a couple of years, or maybe even if we do a whole life of our practice, and we maybe do 50 or 70 years, that practice is not enough. So we have to keep on doing. So even if it's difficult and doesn't achieve the results in a very short time, we should not feel discouraged and should always continue to do practice. So the loving kindness and the compassion, is the turning of the mind. So if you turn this way, it's loving kindness. If you turn the other way, it's the compassion. So mind that wishes to have happiness is loving kindness, and mind that wishes to be free from suffering is the compassion. And so again, just like loving kindness, if you have a compassion towards somebody or being towards others, by thinking that how wonderful it will be if they are free from the sufferings, may they be free from suffering. I myself will take responsibility to free them from suffering. If you have that kind of thought, again you accumulate inconceivable amount of merit.
다 주가도 가르이나 나네 세발라더니 계시에 조어를 레레 넘어서 세네 다들 계시주래 다 레레 넘어서 자원 예제제 레로 아니 지리베레로 다니라니 베레로 세네 레레 넘어서 요래 다들 주가도 제일 가르이나 나네 세발라 계시 조어데 되래 도모 주시에 무리베 자원 예제제 레로 세네 되면 아니 최세 살은 너를 말해 최세발을 지리를 당겨와래 소소도 샤왕이 맞더니 이제면 샤와더니를 차네 그러면 달래 가세나나 가르세나나 어떻게 너무 최세발은 셔도 주발라 계시를 샤왕이 이제 제대로 생겼대 아니 나니 빌레로 생겼대 가르를 주셔 다 미시게 내가서 다 니한테 연구 말해서 다 넘어서는 때문에 내가 안 먹어 용이 동무시에 내가 다 나타나기 가와 연구를 써서 나니 빌레로 생겼대 니한테 연구 말해 자세히 셔발라 보체라 내가 도구 말해 그러봐 마게세제 통제제 되도 아니 자세히 셔바 바로도 셔바 둘라 도구 말해 어떻게 제대로 더 나니 있어래 이 빌레로 생겼다네 그 소소도 마요 제대로 말해 이거 뭐래 너무도 성질이서 성질이요 이자 성질이요 마소다 아니 소소도 뭐니 제대 자원이네요 말해 되는 제대 가는데 딱 와. 뭐 제가 때문에 당에 때문에 말해서 무슨 가서 뭔 거래. 저 개와세 말에 다트네 지니 자체본 내체 도구 말해서도 소소 밤에네 호텔에 다니라니 빌레로서라 다 티는 뭐잖아 가르고를 주시는 아니 소소 마요에 가르래 파도부터 인도와래 소소 마요에 가르래 아니 제가 가르와래 그러나 파도부터 인도는 소소 마요에 진짜 조금이야 말해 미제다 지가 다니시 저런 인도 말에 마요에 가르래서는 그거는 다 가르다 그래 많이 뭐인가 집안에 갈아서도 집안에 내 모양을 가르려서 그래. 소소소소도 연구 말해서는 많대야 될 아마치 흩어마서 가는 거를 새 매봐. 소소소도 많대야 될 새도 매봐 많대는 지지는 어떤 때문에 또 말해. 니니처럼 대니서 말해서는 많대네. 미세가 저런 연구 말해주시면 잘해자 그랬어. 너무 뭐지 내 모양을 가르려서. 많이 나라래서 칼라사도 나라래서 어떻게 제거돼서 어떻게 이따때 많이 빌레로서 하래서
And so what prevents us from doing all these practices is the laziness. Is the biggest obstacle is the laziness. There are three different kinds of laziness that is explained in the teaching. The one is called the laziness of engaging in meaningless activities. And the other one is the laziness of lethargy. That's the actual laziness that we usually describe as a laziness. And then the third one is the laziness of putting oneself down. So all this kind of laziness that we have usually is so like I said, the laziness of engaging in meaningless activities. So everything that we do other than Dharma practice, and anything that we do is a laziness. Is one kind of laziness, right? So that prevents us from doing the Dharma practice. Because we're busy and I have to do this, I'll do that, therefore I can't go and do the Dharma practice. So that kind of activity becomes a laziness. And then, of course, the actual laziness, not wanting to do, and so forth. And then the other one is the laziness of putting oneself down. So we always think that, I can't do that, I'm not capable of doing that, and so forth. So it says like a discouraged or putting oneself down. And there's nothing that we can't do. If this is something that can be achieved, we can do it, right? Of course, it can't be achieved, then it can't be achieved. But if it can be achieved, then we can do it, because we have the Buddha nature, the potential to become Buddha. So even if we can become Buddha, then why can't we can't become other things, right? So that Buddha nature, the potential to become a Buddha, As long as we have that, we have the ability to Buddha. It's just that whether we put into practice, we put in the effort, make effort or not, to do that. So sometimes, we always put ourselves, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can do that because of this reason, because of that. We put so many reasons to prove that we cannot do ourselves. But if someone else were to say that, you can't do it, then we become angry. Why can't I do it? And if you can do it, why can't I do it? Then we get angry. We're the same person. We eat same kind of food. If you can do it, why can't I do it, right? So that kind of argument we make with others, but when we do ourselves, we put down ourselves so much, saying that, I can't do this, I can't do that. So that's the kind of laziness that prevents us from doing these practices.
That's somebody. That means you know say that when I younger somebody do that, to know that the time you check on I mean, you really touch it. 통치는 아니 다른 사람들이 소가 되는 이유로 다소 제거하는 내 당에서 레벨 넘어서 자원 내려지는 스미도 개와시 발파 주발라 개체고래 아니 주마도 자와셔다 치를 차내를 제거라 다음에 개와 자와는 주 사들을 다 내려 되니 되는 거래 아니 자와 첨부터는 내 용로 말해서 다니라니 빌래로 다 지리는 받아 로도 다와서 받아 어떻게 제리는 아니 이 사마레스네 지리네 내 지리야 말이 당해셔야 돼 저기 서마도서 까마 통해서도 조사는 거로 와르더니 말아서 저기 제세 치마스 제시 말했더니 로도 다와더니 제까지 자 구타체로 와 어떻게 지구나 지리는 아니 지리 받아 내로 그래서 지리 받아 두셔지래 지리는 뭐 제와들은 뭐지 제발 주주주주 제발 말을 못 듣니 제발 이제 다들 차가 말이세 차가 말해서 차야에서는 또 근데 차가 차원이네 말해 그러면 줄 차가 가요래 어떻게 전에 저러서라 마음 바이나요 다다데 되게 제일이 말해서
And so then, the lethargy, the laziness of lethargy, that is the laziness, you start to feel after doing some practice. And you say, it's taking so long, I'm so tired, I can't do it anymore. And so that kind of feeling, so that's the laziness. So the first one, the laziness of engaging in a meaningless activity, and that prevents one from engaging in the Dharma practice. Then once one have engaged in the Dharma practice, then the other two laziness comes. The other two kind of laziness come. The one that says, I cannot do it, it's too profound, it's too big for me to do it. And then other one says, this is taking so long, it never ending, and it's taking so long, I can't do it. So there's no way we can end it so easily. Like I said, Bodhisattvas, they have to practice for countless eons, to achieve their results. And if they can make effort for countless eons, why can't we make effort for a couple of years or a couple of months? So. So that's the kind of thought we should have, and to overcome these lazinesses.
다 눈치 못해서는 다 틀리지 않은 맛이 여기 가르쳐 주셔다 준비 있어야 말에 누가 준비 있어야 말에 아니 교주 파시들이 뒷발이들은 로자들이 오늘은 서다 야무시네 가봐가면서서는 달리 가보니 이 준하시는 되는 저기 대사자가 있는 데가 와봐 내가 이게 걸어 가요 말에 교주라고 유지 내가 내가 사다지니 많이 누주사요 말에 이나 빼면서 봐야 보죠 오늘 저는 할래를 다 저러서 대니 전부 시자와 또 성년에 돈을 할 레벨 되네 전부 할 레벨이야 뭐래 소소이나 세라가 가보죠 그러나 오늘 돈을 버더니 다리데 나로도 이용하다 유마스한테 나로서 가게다 주 바시에 세세세는데 야타제 중성 또 계실라고 용로지세를 넘어서 가디 튀어나가는 포연 로딜 아니 꾸르꾸르 치소를 제 노루치세는 가디나 가는 분들 나 포연 가디니 치소를 노려요 그래서 라리나 가보면 지도는 노루하래 어떻게 다 노루를 가진 거나 내지 노루치세는 라마세르가 까면서 게실라고라 가디 이나래 다 페이지에서 내 지도는 전 거기 다들 벗어 봐 오늘은 뭐 그렇지는 패도 좀 연구하래 소소이나 가보시 게실라 투체사이 오늘 가보시 되게 계속 제가 노지가 아니 나봐서는 저한테는 요나 디세리게 저한테는 요나 아니 디디 소소 니디 때문에 다 동시에는 니텔레 자그래서 아니 야보치 pen 무슨 말인지 Dagi Shini Sabi Gawa Netona Dua Dora Combeno Choba Jeto Lozota Temi Nimbo Rendo Sachi Shu Oya Kijilak Sushu.
And so that's about it for the introduction, to the to the Buddhism or Dharma. And so, because there's no particular text that we're following, and it's just talking about general the thing about the Dharma, and I find it difficult because I have to pause for the translator to translate, and then when he finished that, then later I have to catch up what I said earlier, so I have to kind of continue with what I said, and then I get lost sometimes, and then I'm talking about different things. Also, nothing not to be blamed to the translator also, because he has no text to follow, and he has to listen to what I'm going to say, because it's all coming from me. And anyway, so it's been very good, for the last 3 days we've been discussing about Dharma, and many of the Westerners here have very, very strong interest in the Dharma. They're very good, and I'm very happy to be here and to see that. And I've been requested by Geshe Nola to come and teach, and also Lama Zopa Rinpoche requested me to teach, and he said every time I'm in New York I should come to Kurukulla Center and teach. And since Geshe La also asked to come and teach and made all these arrangements, and it's really nice to see all this, and I'm very happy to be here. And I'd like to thank Geshe La for arranging, Geshe La and all of you for arranging this. And like other days, we're going to have a few question answer now. So if you have any questions, maybe short and simple ones, and then we can have answer for that.
아니 다 대마세 단단들의 조로 조조 거로를 아니 살려는 게를 미소에서 빼면서 봐야 보니 다리 야보 제소서 조조 집에 조로조 강을 아니 이니 답안에 뒤제 제장은 테마 아니 이제 그들은 그 조조래 살려는 게도 뭐나 요들을 살려는 게 다가로서 단단하게 문에 돈에 할래를 살려야 보는 거니 단단히는 못해는 아니 살려 되는 거로 지지 다리 빼면서 봐 가보시 테마서는 계절이 있나요 문에 돈에 거로 지 할래를 야보래 내는 나로서다 같이 뭘 가르쳐 거래 이렇게 계절이 있나요 문에 돈에 정말 지죠 그런 샤베스시니 어디라 빼면서 봐 저로서라 테니시 봐 야보 제소소서 나로나 대대는 계절이 있나요 답안에 뒤지지 는 nom아서다 주소걸로 로바체니 다 뭐는 이 답아치 어제래 그래서 갈라로 문에 돈에 할래를 야보래 배무트서 있나요 저로서 있나요 로테사치 해야 돼 소소소소다 지금 되는 로테사 되는 여바테 또 야보래 마더니 사탄들이 질려서 로테사치 메나 야보요 말봐 당나도 니치 취체사치 요 고마치 요 소소체니 전 nom아서 있나요 가디나 페페요라 이제 문제 뭐래 이거 다들 다 리버에서 내가 지도 지를 만들어내더니 다 소소 지도 대대는 죄송은 누가 내가 제 도움은 누가 기술하고 지그체는 되는 제요를 되는 문에 돈에 요한테 셔다 야보래 너네 돈에 야보래 다 저러서 다 되게 게마서 소리마다 너 시제도 소리 나 놓치면 되니 할래를 깨물어 살래 너네 돈에 할래를 깨물어 살래 밤마다 소리나 갈아 놓가를 마도 다 밤에 가서 야 다지를 마도 너무 많아 가려 배우 하면 보세요 야가를 내면도 소리가 가면 세리 채로 와라 다 배면도 너네 돈에 마지막에 손을 놓치들 가니래 요새로 와래 대소다 저러 소리나 너네 돈에 밤에 가로 놓치대 야타지 제거를 뿌듯 소리나 마트니 제거를 가라 놓가를 마도 정말 돌아도 사서는 아니 제가 말다 시비도 마서는 그 컴보레는 쪽쪽에 산에서 소야와 말해 다다대도 소야와 뿌듯 소리나 놓치 되니 좋은 거야도 아니 야라 제거 제바야 보고야도 어떻게 질까라 놓가래 이 소다 당에 다리 직원이 시세니다 모토체 시려서 트체다 야야
And also I'd like to thank the director and all the staff who have worked so hard to make this event very successful. And Sean, also director, also last time when I came, and many of the staff are still same. They're working really hard, to help, to help the Dharma to flourish and the center to run the center. And so I'd like to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. and also very happy to see many Tibetan folks here who came to listen to the teaching, and so it's really nice to see all of you. To have some place, it's very good to have a place, with Geshe and like a center here where you can come and come on a special days, like on a holy days, on a special days or holidays, to come and do some prayers and practices together, and it's really good to have this place like that. Once you are out of your one country like Tibet or India and other place, to have this kind of place is really difficult. So people in India or Tibet, they worry what will happen to the Tibetans when they go to the foreign country, because they don't have something where they can preserve their Dharma and the culture, so they worry about that. But when you have a place like this, it's really nice. Nowadays, mostly it's the older Tibetans, who are keeping this kind of religion and cultures alive. But young ones a little bit difficult, so it's very important for the elders, to always advise the young ones, to carry on with their cultures, and always to behave in a good way and so forth. So I would just like to thank all of you for that.
Roba, Nacha Casarini, the Consideraba, Zabema Nimal Consideraba, Tosu Pal Litone, Consider Pal Litone, however, the Mocha to shoot a Pal Litone, consider what you read. A Chodoso Monotone, shoot it over and consider Little, however. Gabachu, and a page was so generous about it, to get out of the church, the Domatella, and then you did go to Sojitama, you did the Nevaton, and then the Chevatomata, to the Chambala, so we tell the Chevatomano, Cassette, the Chevaton. Roma, and then you did go to the name to Mushi, Royal, get you to me, but I did the Lucia, Melosha, yes. And so, and also, because and on the weekends, right? So on the weekends and on your holidays, on your day off, you come to listen to the teaching. It's really good, So you give up your vacation, you give up your day off, and to come to listen to the teaching. That's very good. People give up their teaching and go on vacation, but you give up your vacation and come to listen to the teachings. So that's really good. That's even more special, right? And so anyway, so all the matters that we have created through doing this practice, by giving up your vacation, all the matters that we have created, let's dedicate, for the teachings of the Buddha, to remain in the long time, for the holy beings, to have a very long life, and for the world, to have peace and harmony, to not have any disasters and the sicknesses, diseases, and so forth, and so everything to be perfect, and also like to add a dedication for Venerable Kumsangla. He's a long-time attendant to his Lama Zopa Rinpoche. He was suffering from cancer, and he just passed away this morning, a few hours ago. So please dedicate for him as well, Venerable Kumsang, for him to have a good rebirth, to be born as with the perfect human rebirth, and to meet with the spiritual master, the Mahayana teachers, just like he did in this life, and to be able to continue to practice, till he achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. Rinpoche di 먼저 Lama Zopa Rinpoche 수변 지열에 그런 군사생에 Rinpoche Roger 단 군사생이 지려봐 지열에. French, no? Not Roger. No, Roger and Kunsang. So there's two. So, Roger Rinpoche 킹이라. Roger 뭐 현대 지열에 군사생이 지열에. 아니 코란데 가장 괜찮은 나대라. 디코 또 코란 다라셔고 공부 조사. no. 코란치 즉 도면 나라마시.
Also, the translator will be missing. Our translator. Thank you for the translation. It's a great translation. Also, he has a lot of experience. It's very easy to people can understand what he explains. He would also like to say thank you for translation. He didn't translate that.
So, any questions? To what you wrote? Oh, maybe.
Maybe no questions. We would like to recite the Medicine Buddha names, 7 Buddhas and include Buddha Shakyamuni. We don't have time to all Medicine Buddha puja, but for Venerable Lobsang and also Shanta, she also have some problems. 어떻게 다담 시담날라다 소 다담 아주 추적이 담아라 레코시도 더 코나기 전에 멜라 따로시지 멜라 지나다 먹고 정말 멜라 대신 제가 센 맛이
노래
더 시켜셔나
네, 또
버시 들어가면서 뭐라고 버시 들어가면서
로상마다 텐데이션 그렇다.
Okay, we're going to start only names, then Bob can tell you the names. The first we have to start some dedication mandala and dedication before Lola pray, then we start there, okay?
Okay, please turn to page 39 for Thanksgiving mandala offering. Saji perki juxing mei to from ri rag ling ji yi Tsongkhapa's final Lamrim prayer. From my 2 collections, vast the space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose mind's wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of complete graded paths of the teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by practicing. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings beings with the points of the path as I have discerned them. May I uphold the Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread of decline, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. Of those who wish for liberation be granted bounteous peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time. By even this graded course to enlightenment completed due to the wondrous, virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their children. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and make things conducive for practicing the excellent paths never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes an effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may they always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere. Please turn to page 145. We'll recite the names of the medicine Buddhas. So we'll be skipping along to the pages and just reciting the main names of the medicine Buddhas. Page 145. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhate, Samyak Sambuddha, King of renown, glory of excellent signs, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. Page 149. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhate, Samyak Sambuddha, Rinpoche, King of melodious sound, brilliant radiance of ability, adorned with jewels, moon, and lotus, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. Page 155. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhate, Samyak Sambuddha, immaculate, excellent gold, radiant jewel, who fulfills all his vows, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. 159. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhate, Samyak Sambuddha, supreme glory, free from suffering, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. Page 163. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhate, Samyak Sambuddha, melodious ocean of proclaimed Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. 167. To the Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhate, Samyak Sambuddha, King of clear light, he who totally delights in the supreme wisdom of the ocean of Dharma, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. 171. To this Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhate, Samyak Sambuddha, medicine guru, king of lapis light, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. Page 175. To the founder, Bhagavan, Tathagata, Arhate, Samyak Sambuddha, glorious conqueror Shakyamuni, I prostrate, offer, and go for refuge. 3 times. The long mantra, page 183. Om Namo Bhagavate Bekanze Guru Bendurya Prabha Razaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tayata Om Bekanze Bekanze Maha Bekanze Bekanze Razda Samudgati Soha Om Namo Bhagavate Bekanze Guru Bendurya Prabharadzaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tayata Om Bekanze Bekanze Maha Bekanze Bekanze Rasta Samudgate Soha Om Namo Bhagavate Bekanze Guru Bendurya Prabharadzaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tayata Om Bekanze Bekanze Maha Bekanze Bekanze Rasta Samudgate Soha. The long life prayers. Okay, please turn to page 43. The short long life prayer for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Gang ri ra wei kor wei jing kam dir pen dang de wa ma lu jung wei ne chen re zig wan ten zin gyat so yi jap he si te bar du that spontaneously fulfills all wishes. Tong yi ning shi zung du ju pe lam che che se ze gong chen ten zhe gen chag na pe mo ten zin gyat so ra so ra dev so je den lun drum sho. Page 49, the short long life prayer for Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Tok so chan xin jam gen gyel wei ten zin kyong pel wei kun zo dok po ze chok sum kur wei vek man tu dru pa dak so du je gen du jam ten shu. Page 57, prayer dedication. Gewa di nyu du dan lama sangye drub yu ne dro chi kama lupa de Jang Chup Sem Chog Rinpoche Ma Kye Panam Kye Gyur Chi Kye Panyam Pa Me Yang Gong Ne Gong Du Pel Wan Shug.
Tuchana Shaji Khen Rinpoche Lobsang Delek Peola Pingme Zimbe Gawa Do Gawa Sambocho Nita Wande Tuchi Chi Shui. Thank you for Rinpoche coming here on behalf of the Kurukulla Center, all students, Tibetan and non-Tibetan, all different countries. On behalf, thank you for Rinpoche. Also thank you for everyone. We have a very great time to receive the great teachings 3 days with Rinpoche. Then we all like just auspicious like Tibetan tradition we offering for Rinpoche and the Secretary of Siraji Geshe Tuitangshula. We just also offering for Kada for Tibetan tradition. Also we are going to offering for when these ones come our center, then we have also a duty. Maybe they didn't saw, we will offer like that. Thank you, accept that. Amen. Geshe